There are so many vloggers out there on YouTube who are talking about why they prefer the Philippines over Thailand or Vietnam, or you have guys who are talking about why they prefer Thailand over the Philippines in Vietnam or Cambodia. But nobody really talks about Indonesia. Mysteriously, it's left out from the conversation, and that's why today I'm gonna talk about why I prefer Indonesia over the Philippines, Thailand and Vietnam. And if some of you guys are wondering about my funny haircut, yes, this can happen here in Indonesia when you tell the barbershop guy that you want him to cut off only 1 centimeter, but due to communication problems he is leaving you with 1 centimeter. So this is the thing here in Indonesia. I would say it's way more interesting here in Indonesia. It's more adventure also. So now, why not Thailand? So I will cover all these countries here, and then at the end I will tell you why I prefer Indonesia over these other 3 countries. So why not Thailand? Thailand has a comparably great infrastructure compared to other Southeast Asian countries. It's very popular with expats. It is a beautiful country, and obviously there are plenty of beautiful women, hot chicks, Thai chicks and stuff, right? But this is all true, yeah. But I have to say, and again, what I'm saying here in this video is only my personal opinion, yeah. Why I do not prefer Thailand, the Philippines, eventually also the Philippines and not Vietnam anymore. Thailand never really has been my thing. The first time I traveled to Thailand was in 2007. But since then, I never really warmed to this country. I don't know why. I guess it's the same. Like you never warm up to other people, other women, other guys, you know. There is basically no chemistry really going. Yeah. Besides of that, for my taste, there are too many expats around in Thailand. This is not what I personally like. I'm more a guy who prefers to be in a place where there are not so many expats. This is actually my reasoning when I travel far away from my home country. I want to be in a place where I am in a foreign country, where I also feel as a foreigner. You know, this is what I'm after, the adventure, I'm the outsider, I'm the alien, and I have to find my way around. I don't speak the language. I really like that. That is my adventure. I don't want to be in an expat bubble surrounded by other expats, sometimes also idiotic expats, you know, all kind of sketchy characters and fishy people. I don't want that, you know. And you have a lot of this in Thailand. Dating-wise, yes, like I mentioned already, you can have great fun in Thailand, there is no question. Women are pretty, and I'm also pretty sure that Thai women make great wives, because there are plenty of expats married to Thai women. But here is already the problem for me. This is also my experience in Thailand. You know, the English level is way lower than in other Southeast Asian countries, let's say the Philippines, Malaysia or Singapore. Yeah, so this is already an obstacle, and to learn Thai language is very difficult. It's a tough language to learn, and not everyone has the talent to learn a new language quickly. I am into languages. I love studying languages, but yeah, I've been struggling with Thai and also with Vietnamese. So. And also the dating culture in Thailand is quite transactional, without going into further detail. And also the attitude of Thai women towards foreigners is, I found out later, is something which we just have to accept. Yeah, I've released a video about this many months ago. The title is Why Most Thai Girls Don't Like to Date Foreigners. Yeah, this might be coming shocking for some of you, but this is the brutal reality, and this is what I have basically figured out after I lived and worked a while in Thailand. Yes, I've done all these things. As I mentioned, I traveled to Thailand in 2007 for the first time, to Phuket. Yeah, I've been to Bangla Road, to all the girly bars, and I bar find a nice Thai girl, and she became my girlfriend. And at the time it was completely different, because these girls were really lovely actually, you know, no tattoos, no smoking and all that crap, you know. So I've done all this, you know, and then later, a few years later, I actually had a real Thai girlfriend, you know, and I was together with her. And also, as I mentioned, I worked in Thailand and lived, and this is the time then when I really could dive a little bit more deeper into Thai culture, and this is eventually the time, or was the time, when I really understood a lot more about Thai culture, and therefore also about Thai women, and what the culture is about, and what the women are about, and what they really want and what they don't want. So, long story short, these are the reasons why Thailand is really not for me. So, next country. Why not the Philippines? Yeah, this is a tough call, I have to admit. I've released many videos about the Philippines in the past, and I will continue to do so in the future. Because I've been traveling to the Philippines since 2006. Yeah, I came to the Philippines almost 20 years ago, and it is a beautiful country. There is no question. The great thing is the English level, obviously. Although I'm not an American guy or native English speaker, but I do speak English, and as a German, so it also helps me in the Philippines. There is no question about that. And of course, the girls. This is always has been my main reason to travel to the Philippines. There's no question about that. And my very first Southeast Asian, you see, I'm struggling with English sometimes, bloody TH. My first Southeast Asian girlfriend was a Filipina. I've done a video about this. Yeah. So I have really good memories. I have many good things to say about the Philippines, about the people. I like the people. The Filipino people are great. The girls are even greater in certain regard. But yeah, what turns me off in the Philippines is the infrastructure. I have to be honest. When you compare it to other Southeast Asian countries, the Philippines loses out big time. Unfortunately, for many different reasons. We know partly why that is. Now these days they're coming out with these weird laws, and I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. I will not go into further detail here, which also kind of scares me off a little bit, to be honest. And so these two things basically. And again, this is always a package. I look at different facts and stuff, and then I come to a conclusion, and then I compare. So Thailand is off the table basically. The Philippines basically also. This is probably a country I will travel to in the future. There's no question about this. It's a beautiful country. I want to see many more places in the Philippines. But for permanently settling there, I'm not so sure. So the next country is Vietnam. Why not Vietnam? That's also a very good question, because I've done many videos about my Vietnam adventures, dating in Vietnam, traveling in Vietnam. And Vietnam, I loved Vietnam for many years. It's a beautiful country also. It has a great infrastructure, way better than the Philippines, for example. The cost of living is low. So the value for money you get is great in Vietnam. A relatively low cost of living, but you get a great infrastructure, high quality apartments, high quality accommodation, but for a very reasonable price. This is what I have figured out already 6-7 years ago when I began to travel to Vietnam very frequently. I worked and lived in Vietnam though already in 2010 for a year. So that was in Hanoi at the time. So, but at that time I worked, I lived in a hotel, you know, I didn't really travel around much. So, but since I started in 2019 to travel extensively to Vietnam, yeah, I really fell in love with the country. And in my opinion, still today, Vietnam is one of the best options in Southeast Asia. Cost-wise, you have to see what you pay and what you get. And the value for money in Vietnam is still great. The women are beautiful, there is no questions. I like Vietnamese women a lot. I was in a relationship with a Vietnam girl, dated Vietnamese women. These women have, in general, in my experience, a great attitude. These are great attitude women. They are definitely wife material. These women are not lazy. They are disciplined and ambitious, you know, and they are good looking. Now, here comes the problem, the English level. And this is not something new I'm telling you here now. You have made your own experiences and you watched other videos. Again, this is just, I'm sharing just my experiences. And I have to say, and I have to also agree with the other guys, the English level really is an obstacle in Vietnam. Then also the age gap, dating is an obstacle in Vietnam. Yeah, so if you are 50 or 60, good luck with finding a 25 or 30-year-old Vietnamese woman. Yeah, I'm not saying it cannot happen, but it's way more difficult than in the Philippines or Thailand. Yeah, and I'm 48 now. You know, and I mentioned this in my previous videos. Just because I'm getting older does not mean that my taste for women has changed. You know, just because I'm getting older does not mean that I'm also now prefer older women. No, my taste has not changed, you know. But in Vietnam, it's getting more difficult for me to meet and date younger women, let's say in their 20s, for example, okay? This is just how it is, and I accept that. I don't complain about it. I don't whine around about it, you know. So another thing what really turned me off the last, let's say, last year when I spent a considerable amount of time in Vietnam, in Da Nang, I'm not so much a big fan of this noisy culture anymore. Vietnamese culture is very noisy. The people are very noisy. The Vietnamese, very similar to Chinese. They're very noisy, you know, in the hotels. You know, I remember at the hotel I stayed, you know, Vietnamese people checking in with families and small kids. This is all good. I mean, but they leave the door open, they start yelling. It's just a noisy country everywhere. Not to mention the traffic. And they are also rude people, I find. This is just, you know, what I don't like anymore when I compare it to other Southeast Asian countries. Vietnamese people can be really rude. And I'm not the only one who's saying this, but I don't care what other people say or not say. This is just my experience, and this is what I find, and it gets on my nerve. When I travel to Indonesia, this is completely different, a completely different story. And I'm fed up with Vietnam because of this also. Rude people, not all, you know. And it's a very noisy culture. So a few things come together. Yeah? And last year I had to deal with the Vietnamese police. I maybe should do a video about this. Since I'm not in Vietnam anymore, now I can talk openly about this. I tell you, my credit card was stolen. Somebody already picked up money from my card. And I went to the Vietnamese police to report the case. And it was a sheer nightmare. It was a sheer nightmare. I tell you honestly, if you have any thing happening to you in Vietnam and you have to deal with the police, God bless you. It was the biggest pain in the ass I've ever experienced in 20 years in Southeast Asia. And I lived and worked in Vietnam and in other Southeast Asian countries. I'm not a newbie, I know my way around. But this was so disgusting and disappointing. I'm getting worked up already now. I will not share the details here. And this was another thing when I said, you know, I don't need to have this, you know. Such uncooperative and unhelpful, arrogant people, yeah? The Vietnamese police in Da Nang. So this is just what I experienced there. Not taking my case serious, just sending me from one station to another, sending me around town basically, and then having me preparing all the paperwork, and then next day I come there and they say, oh, who are you? We don't know you. Yeah, so this kind of things. This is just, of course, one bad experience, but in general, this also added to my decision not to probably permanently settle in Vietnam. It's the English level, the dating really sucks, and yeah, these other experiences. So now, why Indonesia? Why do I prefer Indonesia over all these other Southeast Asian countries? Yeah, one big factor definitely is that I have lived and worked in Indonesia for many years in different provinces, in different islands, in different cities here. And I also dated women, obviously, for those of you who know my videos, this is nothing new I'm telling you here. So this was also the reason why I actually started to talk about Indonesia. When you remember, and you can check how I started about 2 years ago doing these dating videos, I have talked about the Philippines first and Thailand, you know, Vietnam, and I never really mentioned Indonesia. But then it occurred to me, you know, I actually had great experiences in Indonesia, and this is how it all started, you know. Yeah, Indonesia has beautiful women, there's no question about it. And Indonesian women are highly underrated. And all these guys who now come to Indonesia and arrive here, they say the same thing. They say, because I'm in touch with these guys, many of these guys are viewers of my channel, and they felt or feel encouraged to visit Indonesia. I know this because this is the feedback I get from them, and they say, Marcel, really, it's amazing. I've never thought that Indonesia is such a great place. Also when it comes to dating, and the women are great. Yeah. I also find that Indonesian women, and I've done videos about this in the past, they have a, let's say, better attitude when it comes to money compared to other countries like the Philippines, let's say, or Thailand, you know. Yeah, this is just my experience. This is what I found, you know. Indonesian women, they have a job, most of them, and they earn their own money, and even if it's only little, they know how to get by, and they are not begging you for money unless they are freelancers, bar girls or hookers or what. But a normal, regular, good Indonesian girl, it's in their culture. They're not being taught by they're actually being taught by their parents not to ask for money from strangers, not even from their boyfriends. So this is in their culture. By the way, I will talk in my next video about the money issue, Filipinas and the money issue. But in this video, I will gonna go a little bit more deeper. I'm not just going to repeat the old boring stories. Oh, the Filipinas are just after the money. No. I wanna tackle this issue, and I wanna get to the bottom of things. But talking about Indonesia and Indonesian women, I find they have a different relationship with money and a different attitude towards to it, which I like. Obviously, the English level in Indonesia is still an obstacle. That's true. There's no way around it. So this is one thing you have to come to terms with it. But believe me, there are plenty of women here in Indonesia who are, and we are talking millions of women, attractive women who are interested to date foreigners. And these women understand if they want to date a foreigner, and it doesn't matter you are from the States, from Canada, from Germany, from Norway or from Sicily or from Japan, these women know that these foreigners speak English. So these Indonesian women will learn English. You don't need to worry so much about learning Bahasa Indonesia, the Indonesian language. Yeah? Like some people maybe in Thailand do. They learn Thai, become fluent, or they learn Vietnamese and become fluent. No need to do that. Women who are interested to date foreigners, they know they will have to make the effort to learn English. And they are glad doing it. They are happy to learn English, trust me. Yeah? The infrastructure I find okay in Indonesia, and at least on certain islands, talking especially about the island of Java, there you have a functioning train system, you have highways and stuff. So for me, the infrastructure in Indonesia is okay. I like Indonesia also because it's very diverse in terms of nature, in terms of food, in terms of people, ethnicities, tribes, languages, religions. There are 6 officially recognized religions here in Indonesia, believe it or not. This is what many people don't know. Yeah, and I like the mentality of the people. I talked about the noisy culture in Vietnam just a few minutes ago. So I've always felt very, very comfortable in Indonesia. I like the mentality of the people. These Indonesians are very welcoming, curious, open. They welcome you. The Indonesians are very similar to the Filipinos in that regard. And I always say the Filipinos and the Indonesians, they are like cousins, They are very, very similar in many regards when you look at their history and their cultural history. So I just feel so welcome here with these Indonesian people. Yeah, this is a very important contributing factor also why I eventually prefer Indonesia over all these other countries. Yeah? I'm not saying Thai people are not friendly. I'm not saying Vietnamese people are not friendly. And by the way, Thai people, there's a lot of phoniness also to the land of the smile, how people say. What I say, Thailand is the land of the fake smile. Yeah, this is what I learned about Thai people, and the Thai people know it because the way they deal among each other, it's the same way. So, yeah, I'm just very comfortable here in Indonesia. And one big thing is also why I like and prefer Indonesia is because here are way less expats. I'm not talking about Bali only here when talking about Indonesia. Bali is nothing for me, although I'm currently residing here. Yeah, but pretty soon I will leave again. Many people, when they think of Indonesia, they just think of Bali. And this is a big mistake. And it is also very unfortunate because people just come here and then they leave. But they have not really seen the real Indonesia. Yeah? And that's very unfortunate. And I would even go so far to say, take Bali out of Indonesia. You can actually think of Bali as a separate island state, where they speak Indonesian language and pay with Indonesian rupiah. But other than that, it is Balinese culture, therefore Indonesian culture here, yes, and a lot of culture and heritage and stuff. But there's so much tourism here also, westernized and with all these bad influences also. And then these expats and tourists, just what I mentioned in one of my other videos, like over 6 million people travel to Bali alone, travel to Bali in 2024. Over 6 million people travel to Bali alone. And last year, 14 million people traveled to Indonesia, the entire country. So almost half of the tourists to Indonesia are traveling to Bali. Forget about Bali. Come here, have a look, stay 1 or 2 weeks, have a good time, but then get ready to explore the real Indonesia. Okay? And here in Bali, you have way too many expats. That's why I actually don't like it. And I make a move soon. And The remaining provinces in Indonesia besides of Jakarta, it's perfect for me. No expats. I mean, you have expats, you know, but they're very, very segregated, okay? And yeah, Indonesia is just, what I mentioned, also a very open and tolerant country, open people, yeah. Believe it or not, many people think, and that's why Indonesia is maybe still not so popular, because of the cliche of the stereotypes. You know, they think of Indonesia as an Islamic state or a Muslim state or a radicalized Muslim country where it's absolutely not safe to travel to. And they have really no idea about Indonesia. They don't know that Indonesia has six recognized religions, and I'm pretty sure you cannot even name these religions now. You just think of Islam, the Muslim country. There are also 30 million Christians living in Indonesia, for example, you know. You have Hindus, you have Buddhists. Yeah? Indonesia is really a very, very tolerant country. Very open, especially towards foreigners. You are welcomed here. Yeah? This is just in their blood, in their genes. And therefore, with all these other points mentioned here, therefore I prefer to, that's why I prefer Indonesia over all these other Southeast Asian countries, although these other countries are also nice and I will travel to them in the future. It's not that I hate Thailand or I hate the Philippines or I hate Vietnam. No, I do not hate these countries. It is just now, it was also time for me to make up my mind. That was one of my goals for this year, to really make up my mind where I would like to settle also in the future. I cannot just hop around every 3 months from Thailand to the Philippines to Vietnam to Cambodia to Malaysia. So I have to come to terms and make up my mind. Yeah? And so this video here today is basically a result already of my own thinking process, you know, and I started to think also pro and cons, Thailand, pro and cons, Philippines, you know. Overall, Indonesia is for me at this time the better choice, yeah. Although Indonesia also has obstacles and things which are not so nice. And yeah, definitely the women play a big role, yeah. The dating is great, the women are great here. It's easy to meet these women. They're interested in foreigners. There are beautiful women here. This is one big factor. I don't want to lie. The woman factor is certainly 60%, yeah, of my decision why I would settle in Indonesia. I would be a liar if I just would say, so if people would ask me, hey Marcel, why do you like Indonesia so much? Yeah, you know, great food, great nature, great snorkeling and many volcanoes. And what about the woman? Yeah, you know, so no, the women is for me the main factor still, you know. Come to Indonesia, check it out for yourself. I'm not lying. Come here, arrive here, have a look at these women. Get in touch with them. You will be amazed. You will be surprised. And I bet you probably will fall in love pretty soon also. You will fall in love with dating these women. And you will love how they will treat you, you know, and all these things. But anyway, very long story short, that's it for today. There's more to say certainly, but this is just a general overview, my take. This is my answer to the other guys who always only talk about the Philippines and Vietnam and Thailand and this and that, and completely ignore and leave out Indonesia. This is why I prefer Indonesia over Thailand, Philippines and Vietnam and other Southeast Asian countries. Thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to your comments. It would be nice if you also could share your thoughts, why you maybe prefer Thailand or why you prefer the Philippines and why you don't like Indonesia at all, although you never came here, right? Stereotype and cliche. So checking out now. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you in one of my next videos. Take care, bye bye.